Bang! Neeves knives. I'm Jared, and how's everybody doing tonight? Lovely Saturday. That was the Hinder Eclipse with the Bowie blade. Awesome knife. And it was funny because I was sitting here messing with this thing, and I was watching Stasa23's recent video that he just posted with his buddy Copper Dice. And I was literally at the exact same moment sitting here looking at this flipper tab like, man, this flipper tab isn't as pokey as the XM18. And right out of his mouth, he sits there and starts saying the same thing, and he starts comparing them. And yeah, I thought originally when I was like feeling it, I was thinking like, well, it's because of this heavy stone wash this one has, because when it gets stone washed, all the edges and corners get knocked down. But no, his was satin, and he was saying the same thing. And the XM18 has the jimping right here, so that also doesn't give you the most comfortable landing zone. I don't really flip and push it in anyways. I usually just pull down. But yeah, the Eclipse is such a good flipper, man. This is the, I don't know, I've held other ones, but like sitting here with this one in my hand, man, this one's so well tuned. The action is great. Flipper tab or thumb studs, like they're both just well tuned. I noticed some Hinders, I've held a lot of well tuned Hinders. Most of them have been well tuned, but I've held a couple that have like either a very strong detent or a weak detent. Usually it's strong though. And the XM18s, they got that pokey flipper tab that it'll start killing you after a while. I'm glad my XM24 and 18 isn't crazy strong. They're both broken in really good. What's up, Q-Ball, Tony, Russ, Seemed Logical, Ed? Ed, what knife was that you said you're waiting on? You said you're waiting on some clone. It was some name. I seen it. What's up, John Evans? Anyways, as soon as he says it, he said some name of some knife just a minute ago. So I pulled up some classics to talk about. That's why I named this episode Classics. We'll go through them pretty quick because I know everybody knows these classics. And hitting the desk, guys, hitting the desk. Starting it off with the Shaman, the Spyderco Shaman. This one has some red micarta scales, but what's up, Zach? Thanks, man. You're awesome. Zach's in the house. Definitely sub to Zach's channel. You guys should already be sub to Zach's channel. If you're not, you should be embarrassed with yourself, but definitely go over there and don't tell nobody because it'd be very embarrassing, but just slide over there, sub to him, hit the bell, hit all. The classics. Yeah, the classics. So, man, I don't know if this would be the best Spyderco, right? I mean, Spyderco does make a lot of great knives, a few of which are, I guess, could even go into the classic range. What's up, Mom? Can I say hi to your childhood? I don't care. But yet, it's right there in the middle. I wouldn't even say in the middle. It's a hard use knife. It really is. It's a heavy duty, hard use knife. But a reasonable hard use knife. And that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Is that it's not too big. I mean, it's no longer than a PM2, but it's beefier, right? It's beefier. The stop pin's nice and big. The lockup is really strong. And, compression locks are strong just in general. But then this one's, a little bit heavier duty than the PM2, but the big hardware, just everything makes this thing super solid. Yes, it's a little thick behind the edge, but it makes up for it with that tall flat grind. And we're going to get into it in a minute between what's better, a hollow grind or a flat grind. But with the flat grind, it does have a reasonably thick blade stock, reasonably thick behind the edge. Yeah, I'd love to see this thing with insane geometry, but thing is, this thing still cuts incredibly well for a hard use knife. So it's a knife you can have as a heavy duty hard use hitter or a great slicer. And yeah, the one bad thing, I guess, is that lefties, you know, with compression locks aren't very good, but you can always get that button or that OCD for EDC, that little plastic thing he's making. The problem is you will have to cut this nub off to make it fit. But what a classic, man. Awesome, awesome knife. Next classic. The Benchmade Griptillian. Who doesn't love the Benchmade Griptillian? I mean, some of the best ergos out there. I mean, it's hard to beat something this comfortable in the hand. I mean, it's just contoured. And I heard the guy from Knife Center, forget his name, he was talking about how, you know, a lot of knife companies can't make knives this comfortable. That's why, like, this is injection molded, right? It's FRN. Yes, they make the G10 versions, but to contour, you know, and do all this, it's overlooked big time how awesome this handle is on the Benchmade Griptillian. It's one of the most perfect handles for a knife. It's kind of got like a teardrop shape, nice and rounded. Yes, it's contoured, but it's thick enough, and it has the grip that it's not going to spin on you. Like, it's not going to rotate because it's got that thickness. Now, if you did the same thing to something thinner, if you were pushing through something really dense, you could spin it. Like, you would feel turning. But because you can put muscle into that grip, it makes it to where you couldn't pry this out of my hand. Like, there ain't no flex, no nothing when you're squeezing something like this. And then when you add this blade shape, the sheep's foot, my favorite version of the Benchmade Griptillian, I always thought the other version was a little ugly, to be honest. I don't know why. Now, I think if it came out now, right, knowing what I know now and the things I love about knives, I'd probably love it. But at the time when I first seen it, you know, long time ago, I thought it was just so, like, old-fashioned. It just looked ugly to me. It didn't look good. Man, this light is really blazing on my face. Anyways, but with the sheep's foot, perfect blade shape in my opinion. I think it looks good. And it used to have a hollow grind. I know they messed that up. They turned it into a flat grind. Why? I'll never know. I'll never know why they took the hollow grind away from the Benchmade Griptillian. That was the dumbest thing Benchmade ever did. Ever. Next, we got the Manix XL. Not the regular Manix. Nope, the XL right here. So I got the regular one, but we're going to talk about the XL because the regular one, there's so many different versions of the regular one, right? So many different versions. I don't even know how many different versions. Hang on one second, guys. I don't even know how many different versions, but the big one, they only made the one version. Why? I don't know why I think they discontinued it. Why? I don't know why they would, because I literally get hit up all the time either to buy this or people asking me if I know where, or if anybody's got one, or if I know where to get one, because you can't find them. And I don't know, maybe they are still making them just in small runs. If you guys ever hear of somebody making or them making more of these or any of these dropping, let me know. But I don't know if they made more in other steels. I got the S30V version, but damn it, this is a good knife. And this is kind of like the Shaman, right? It's bigger than the Shaman, obviously. It's bigger than the Shaman. But what I mean is that it's a hard use knife and a slicer. I mean, this thing, it's got the perfect blade shape, perfect EDC blade shape. You got a nice tip. You got a nice belly, nice flat area. Plus, it's a full flat grind, so this thing cuts like a champ. And you got that beautiful finger tool where you can get up nice and close to the blade. And then the beautiful ball lock that Spyderco won't put on other knives. I don't know why they, I know they've used the ball lock on other knives you know, but I mean specifically this one with the, you know, with the just like the access lock. I wish they would do more knives like this. This is one of the best locks in my opinion. I love it. I love it. And I know it's very similar to the access lock, but except for it's different. They use a ball. What's up, Richie B? But yeah, what a badass knife. It's a classic in my opinion that I'm guessing they discontinued at this point. That's the only thing I could think of. If you guys know any more information, let me know. Okay, now we got another one, except for this one's the large version as well. The Yo Jumbo. Everybody knows about the Yo Jimbo, but what about the Yo Jumbo? So when the Yo Jimbo first came out, I wanted one bad. I seen it. It was ugly. And I said, that's an ugly fucking knife I gotta have one of those. And I never got one. Bama Knife Guy sent me his. And after I felt the detent, because the detent in all of them that I've felt probably 5 at this point, not including this one. All of them had nice, strong detents. This one included. But yeah, after I felt that detent and how thin, this thing is so thin. It almost doesn't make sense that they make a knife this damn big and this damn thin, because let's be real, this is kind of an issue, right? It's kind of an issue. It's so thin. It's like this tip, you can't, it's almost unavoidable to not break this tip because it is that thin. But when it comes to cutting, slicing, utility cuts, I mean, it's a champion. It's a fucking champion. Being the bigger version, see, I don't think the smaller version is problematic because it's not as heavy. This one, you drop it, it's a little heavier, a little bigger, and yeah, I've definitely fixed a lot of Yo Jimbo's tips. But the Yo Jumbo, that's definitely one. It's so thin. It's like stupid thin. Look at that. But yeah, great slicer, great action, compression lock. It's a beast. I know it's a self-defense knife. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which one would be better, honestly, as a self-defense knife. A lot of people would say the bigger the better, but I don't know if that's true with a self-defense knife. Yeah, I think in some circumstances, yes, because you have reach, right? You have a lot of reach. The more reach, the better, because then your arms are longer. You can hit them. They can't hit you type of thing. But I think, okay, let's just put it this way. All of the knife like attacks I've ever seen in my life, almost all of them, you never even seen the knife, barely, if at all. Like, it was always close quarters, close contact. You didn't see it coming. And it was as if, I mean, obviously, if it's a self-defense situation, that's separate from an attack. Because if it's an attack, they choose what happens. I'm not going to say what happens, but they choose the drop, basically, right? They choose the attack. So you're going to be caught off guard every single time, right? And in that case, you know, it's usually small, short, but nobody even really sees it. They think the person's getting punched. My one buddy, he got stabbed 5 times as a bouncer. And he said he thought he was getting punched the whole time. He said he thought he was getting punched because he was in a fist fight with dude. And he needs to pull out the knife. And dude started drilling him. And yeah, he thought he was getting punched, but he was getting stabbed. Anyways, but I guess in a self-defense kind of way, maybe longer is a little bit better. But then again, I think about, wouldn't bigger be easier to get away from you? Smaller, more compact, closer to your body? That to me seems like it'd be way harder to get away from you. It's like, try getting away like a small little razor versus a big knife. Like, I'd way rather fight somebody with a chef knife than somebody with a little 3-inch blade. For sure. Next one. Wait, let me read some of these comments. Self-defense knife, cold steel Spada. XL hands down, because you can always chop the guy's hands off from a mile away. Oh, damn, yeah, it disappears, turns sideways. Yeah, doesn't it? It's thin. It's so thin. I didn't even think before I got it. I knew it was a hollow grind, but when I got it, I was like, whoa, like I wasn't expecting it to be that thin. It gets down to like, I could measure it right now, but probably 10 thousandths behind the edge in all reality. Next one, 940. You can't talk about classics without the old Benchmade 940. This one's got titanium scales that I fucking hate. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them so much. I'm putting back on my carbon fiber scales. This is the -1, so it's got the S9 EV blade. What's up, Mike? Mike Emler's in the house. Shout out to Mike Emler. Definitely go check his channel out. Before so he can at least catch up, because somehow, some way, my channel passed his channel up, which shouldn't be. He's been doing this longer than me. So by paying homage, I need him to catch up awfully quick. So you guys need to go sub to his channel and get his ass back up here. There's no reason why my channel should be above his right now. The 940-1 though, man. What a great little EDC knife. Yes, it's thick behind the edge. No, it's not the best cutter. But in all reality, I don't know, probably 80% of people, probably even more than that, probably 90% of people, any knife will work, right? Any knife will work. A basic EDC knife is all they need. They don't have to break shit down and break up their recycling. And even if they do, whatever will work. They just need to make a cut when they make a cut and get it back in their pocket. And the Benchmade 940, like that's what it does. Did the scales not fit? No, that's exactly. So the scales fit fine, kinda, but what happened, I think because the pivot now, my pivot never did this, first of all, never did this. Now that I have these scales, I can move it and I can feel my pivot moving. So the pivot isn't fit in the scales perfectly. It seems like it would be. And get this though, the thing came with all new hardware, all new backspacers, because nothing else would fit, right? But they didn't give me a new pivot. So I don't know, maybe I just need to get a new pivot. I'm just going to switch it back because it kind of drives me nuts that I have this bit of play, and it's not even the play that bothers me. It's the fact that I can feel the pivot moving. You know, like when I squeeze the pivot right here, like in between my fingers, I can actually feel it in my fingers moving. I don't like that. But the 940 though, yes, it would have did way better with a hollow grind. I think we all know that. But that doesn't stop it from just being a great all-around lightweight, perfect tool. You got a full-size knife in your pocket. It cuts, it stabs, it pokes. Great tip, great blade shape for EDC. I mean, this blade shape is undeniably great. Some people would call it a reverse tanto. Some people would call it a clip point. But great knife. Great knife. And the 940-1 version, it depends on what you like, but when I got that one in hand, I really liked it. It's so lightweight. It's like, it doesn't even make sense how light it is, because inside the 940, you only have a thin liner. Like, it's kind of like the Griptilian, I guess, where it's just the liner right here, you know, just a little liner. So when it's all carbon fiber, or I guess it goes down to here. I'm sorry. It goes down to here, but it's only right through the middle, the liner. So when you have the carbon fiber scales, they're so light that they feel tough, though, for that. And next, we have the Spyderco Pm2. Everybody knows the Pm2. Probably the most, and I'm going to say in the knife community, the most common knife, right? The most common knife. Now, when I got into the knife community, I refused to get a Pm2. And the reason why, there was a couple reasons. There's two reasons. One was because I thought this thing was so ugly. I said, well, first of all, I wasn't into holes yet. Not into holes. And I looked at a hole. You know, this is me first, you know, like, I've been into knives my whole life, but not in the knife community. And when I looked at it, I said, why the fuck would I want a hole in my blade? Like, I'm thinking it's going to break. Like, that's the first thing I thought. Like, why would I put a hole in my knife? I'm trying to avoid holes in my knives. But Then everybody raved about it. Every other video, literally, I'd watch knife videos, and 5 out of 10 of them would be about the PM2. And I got sick of it. I really did. I got sick of it. I said, man, I ain't never getting one of them fucking things. I thought I was going to get one, but you guys talked me out of it because I don't want to be another guy talking about the PM2. It's kind of like, I think in the beginning when a knife comes out, right? When a knife comes out and everybody's raving about it, everybody wants to get it because they realize that's a great, it must be great. All the people that love knives are raving about it. But when then everybody gets it and everybody else gets it and everybody's talked about it, it winds up getting to a point where you're just like, man, shut the fuck up about the PM2 and show me something else. I want to see something else. Like, I've seen enough on the PM2. Well, then I got one in hand and I realized the Spidey Flick. And I had Spidey Flick things before it, but not quite as good. I realized, you know, just how good the Spidey Flick actually is on this because of how the hole is positioned behind the steel right here. So you have leverage going up right there. And I realized how great that Spidey Flick felt on a PM2. You know, other knives that I Spidey Flick just didn't have that amount of leverage, that pop, and the compression lock. And that was something that I did want to experience. I wanted to experience the compression lock, but just not the PM2. But then I did, and I realized how great it really was. And I had yet to really, sorry guys, to fully get the full experience. You guys get to look at my big, beautiful eyes. Why is this thing so messed up? All right, hang on a second. I think I got an idea. I'm going to cover it up and go bang. Come on. I got to get a different camera, guys. This one's not working out. It does this to me all the time. All right, I'll just put this thing up here. So anyway, so then I got to carry one and use it like a work knife. And actually use it. And that's when my mind changed. Hey, John Evans, thank you, man. PM2 is the knife addict's gateway drug into the rabbit hole. So what happened was I wound up carrying one, and I carried it for, I don't know, however long. But the point is that I understood because I was using it, and I felt how great it was to use as a knife. You have a great utility cutting tip, a great amount of belly, good ergos. And I'm not saying it has the best ergos in the world, but just as a regular user, you know, not saying a long-term user, but as a work knife, it was just great. Good, you know, okay geometry, it cut really good. You know, the action, the fidget factor, just so many things. And I looked at it like, because somebody else said it to me, and they said that because everybody said that the Spyderco is so ugly. They said the Spyderco wasn't made to look good. It was made around a hand. That's kind of what they said. It was made around being a good tool. And when I heard that, Mike Emler says, I'm changing my upload schedule, guys. Now videos will be up 3 days a week versus 2. Awesome, awesome. So Mike's going to start posting more videos. He's going to do 3 days a week instead of 2. So definitely watch out for that. Make sure you get over to his channel and hit the bell. Hit the bell so you can get all, you can get notifications when he posts. But the knife, though, you know, it's made to be a tool. And when I really heard somebody explain that, I think it was even Glesser or whatever, the guy who makes Spyderco or, you know, owns Spyderco. I think I heard him explain it. And when I heard him explain it, it kind of attracted me to it. Like, it's not made to be pretty. It's not made to be cute or anything like that. It's made to be a tool. And I love knives like that. Well, then I actually carried it and I realized how great it really is, because I had 50 other knives to grab, and in the morning when I'd go to leave, I would just look at that one and I'd be like, that's perfect. Because like other knives, like I would think about, too small, too big, you know, too thick, too this, too that, too light, not strong enough, not tough enough. I want some fidget factor. And it's like the PM2 is always like, it's perfect. It's perfect. It really is like a great all-around knife. Not too overbuilt, not too underbuilt. Perfectly tough, decent geometry, good ergos. And, you know, they have so many different steels. And I know that their edge bevels aren't great, right? They're not. They're not, okay? Of course, fucking Spyderco's edge bevels are fucking out of whack always. If you get a Spyderco, you guys ever heard of like the silver dollars and stuff, or like the dollar bills that have like a misprint or something, you know, like a smudge, and it's a misprinted dollar and it's worth like $100 instead of $1. That's the way a Spyderco with even bevels are, right? You got an anomaly, and save it, because you got a one of a kind, because their edge bevels are always off. They're just gonna be whatever, right? Let's get past that, because I mean, I just got done sharpening one today. Holy shit. Like, wow. But it is what it is. That's Spyderco. And sometimes I think they're close, but never great. Never great. I've seen some decent ones, but they're always from their high-end knives. Like, they're regular knives, like PM2s, pair of threes, stuff like that. They're all out of whack with their edge bevels. But I do think that their heat treats are starting to get better. They really are. I've sharpened so many of them. So many. And I notice when I sharpen an old one, I can tell that, excuse me, that the heat treat is not like it is now. They deal with a lot of different steels. So you can go from Maximet, K390, S110B, S90B, M390, S35, S30V. They have fucking everything. Crew wear. They deal with everything. So I think when they really started doing that, they got, what do you think about the Sage 5? Sage 5's a great knife. Fantastic knife. Yeah, that's kind of and it's a knife that a lot of people, I don't think, give as much credit as it deserves, to be honest. But I think once they started really dipping their toes into other heat treats, I don't know if they hired somebody else or what happened, or who they talked to. Let's just say that, who they started dealing with. But it seems like right around that time, the heat treats started getting better. And, you know, lately, I've noticed when I sharpen Spydercos of today, their heat treats feel so much better on the stone. I sharpened one a couple weeks ago, and it was old. It was old. You know, you could tell it was old. You know, and same thing. Like it was a little softer. You know, you could feel it. You know, and but like I said, I think they are doing a lot better. All right, Mike, take it easy, bud. Probably till 9:30. 9:30. Sage is a fun line of knives. All the Sages are the same blade, but with different locking mechanisms. Yeah, I prefer the compression lock, but the back lock isn't bad on the Sage. I don't mind it. But all right, let's pull up another classic, because we can't talk classics, right? Without the old Benzie. We can't talk classics without the old Sabenzi. The Sabenza 21. Talk about a great work knife, tool. Yes, it's not a fidgeter's dream, unless if you like the slow roll, right? And I, for one, I like the slow roll. Call me old-fashioned. I don't care. I like a good slow roll. I like a good Spidey flick. I like a good thumb action. I like a good flipper, front flipper. I like it all. But I still appreciate that level of smoothness from a good slow rolling action, especially when you can feel that lock right up, and you can feel the lock engage into place. And you know, right when that thing hits, it ain't going nowhere. You know, you can feel that. I like that. But so many things are done good on this. You know, between the neutral ergos, right? Just the straightforward neutral ergos. The jimping, we'll get to the blade in a second, but the lock bar access, the lock up, the clip, one of the best titanium clips out there. It's hard to beat a Sebenza's clip in carry, right? Like you can say, oh, it's not deep carry. You could say all this shit, but slipping in and out of your pocket, it's the best titanium clip. It really is. It's so good in and out of the pocket. I've never worried about my pants or my pockets getting hurt by a Sebenza clip. And it's nice and tight. I also don't worry about getting flipped upside down in a tree when I have one in my pocket. But the blade, the best sharpening choil on a knife goes to the Sebenza 21. The best. You can't beat its sharpening choil. Plunge grind, whatever you want to call it. You can't beat it. Metallica's got a new sweet ass Sebenza. He's got one decked out. Yeah, that one, it's pretty sweet. I never even seen one like that until I seen his. And he just got a Timascus clip. Timascus, I can't even think of the name of it, but just a titanium Timascus clip. Looks really good. It looks good because of the colors, because that side isn't decked out. His show side is. So now it is decked out because of the clip. But yeah, nice, tall hollow grind. And it's got a reasonably thick blade stock, but not over like kill, you know, which there's a difference between a thick, strong blade stock and overkill. There's a point of which it's like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Is this a knife or is this a pry bar? And they got a nice, strong blade stock thickness. Nice, it's not stupid thin behind the edge, but since it has that nice, deep, hollow grind, you can literally sharpen this and it gets thinner behind the edge. That's how knives should be. I personally think, like, I'm not going to say all knives, but a great work knife, a great user, that's how it should be. It should get thinner behind the edge when you sharpen it. And I say that because you're going to sharpen it. That's the one thing your knife is guaranteed in life to do. All right? Even if you don't use it and you pass it down to your kids or whatever, one day that motherfucker is going to be sharpened. So it shouldn't get, and I'm not saying they shouldn't get thicker. I'm saying that knives should be prepared for sharpening. Whether we're talking about the sharpening choil, the grind, the plunge grind, it should be prepared to be sharpened. I mean, can you imagine like buying a car, right? Buying a car and you can't put gas in it. Like there's like a metal box over your gas tank and you're like, why can't I get this in the gas hole? You know, it needs gas. You're going to have to gas this motherfucker up eventually. You know, it's like, you don't make all knives. Yes, they can be sharpened. But what I'm saying is that should they get worse, right? Should they lose life because you sharpened it? I don't think they should. I think they should be the exact same through the first, 5-10 sharpenings. All right. That's how it should be. Especially for a work knife, which this one is. Great work knife. And let's not, like we were just talking about Metallicas. Yes, they're all a Sebenza 21, right? But they make so many different decked out versions or the regular version, or like this one with the wood. They got micarta ones. I think they even have like woolly mammoth tusk inlays. They got anodized, they got space ones. They had so many different versions, which I think is cool because then it gives people the opportunity to get the colors that they like or one for themselves. Kind of like Olamic. Olamic does the same thing with the whippersnappers. Actually, with all their knives, but so next we'll pull up one more classic, but which one should I pull up? I guess, you know what, I'll just pull up this one. We'll talk Hinder. Okay, I spoke a little bit about Hinder at the beginning. This is the clips with the Bowie blade. What a badass knife. Because, yes, I do think that, or let me put it this way. I would love to see hinder do a knife with a hollow grind. I really would. And I say that because I don't like how they get thicker behind the edge. I don't mind that they're flat grinds. I just wish they were a little bit longer of a taper. That being said, they are such a tough, overbuilt, badass tool that it's easy to overlook the grind because do they cut? Absolutely. Absolutely they cut. I thought it was funny a long time ago. Metal Complex used to say, can they shave grapes? No. So then I sharpened one and I took a grape and I shaved it. After putting an edge on, I think that was a Jurassic that I did that with. So the point is that yes, they cut just fine. And they are a tool. They're not your crazy slicer, right? You know, fucking pull your jet knife out for that. This is a knife that's made for stabbing, prying, light chopping, you know, abuse. It really is. I mean, the grind says it all. You know, maybe not this particular one with the clip point buoy blade, but I'm just saying the common hinders are made for abuse. And you can make them how you want them. You can get so many parts and scales and colors. You could dress them up, dress them down. There's so many ways to do a hinder. Like, unlike Chris Reeve, right? Chris Reeve, where you can get the custom ones, right? You can get the custom ones, which are beautiful as all hell. You know, I agree. Like, they're amazing. But you can't get new parts. I mean, I get, yeah, I'm lying. You can. You get new thumb studs. You could get the I guess I did. I got the thumb stud and I got the pin for the lanyard tube, but not as much as like hinders. Hinders, man, you can get so many different parts for them. Good night, Mom. Love you. But they're built so tough and so strong that you never feel underknifed with a hinder, ever. And if you, let's just say, you have used the shit out of your hinder, right? You've sharpened it to death. You're looking at it like, man, I love this knife, but damn it, I've sharpened it a lot because I use it a lot. Maybe chip the tip. You can send it to BGM Knives and he'll put the sweetest hollow grind you ever seen on it. And the second to best sharpening tool out there. I think BGM Knives for regrinds and for sharpening toils, he does the best aftermarket or custom sharpening toils out there. He knows exactly what a plunge grind and a sharpening toil is supposed to be. If you look at his plunge grinds, he separates the plunge grind from the edge by far. Like, it's way away from it. He gives you life to remove from that edge. I mean, I don't think you'll ever run out of steel, to be honest, like, because he gives you so much. It makes sense. So when you get a regrind done on your hinder, you wind up getting an even better sharpening toil than you originally had. So, and this is the one problem I have with the hinders, with the non-finger toil ones. They don't give you a good plunge grind. They don't. It's thick behind the edge, yet the plunge grind is to right there. So they leave you this much steel to remove before you get the plunge grind. Now, the issue with that is if you want to lay back the edge to make that bitch cut better, because you're going to want to, let's be real, who sharpens a hinder and doesn't lay the edge back? I don't know anybody. I mean, only the people that don't use their knives and they don't ever sharpen it. But if you sharpen your hinder, usually you lay the edge back a little bit. Well, it's hard to do with the non-choil ones. If it's the choil one, yeah, you can do it all day. It's fine. It's great. The sharpening choil and the finger choil one's fine. But the non-finger choil one, they don't give you anything. So when you lay back the edge, you wind up hitting the plunge grind. So in that case, you hit the plunge grind, you're looking at it like, oh, now it's ugly. BGM Knives. He will hook you up. And it's not much money. I think he does it for between like 60, 70 bucks. Takes him like a week to do. Can't beat that. Now we're going to talk about one more. Now, this is not a classic. This is not a classic. It is a newer knife, but oh, did he? Oh man, I thought I messaged him earlier, and I messaged somebody else. Oh, I feel like such a dick. I gotta message him. I literally thought I was messaging him because in my email it said BGM Knives because it was somebody that was sending me one, and I thought it was him. And I thought I was talking to him. I gotta send him an email because I want him to do mine. But I just recently acquired this, and I want to thank the person who sold it to me because he did give me a good deal. And if I do decide to turn around and sell it, it gives me an opportunity to make a few bucks for the channel. It's not like it'd be that much, but I could, make a few bucks for the channel, which is every dollar counts, right? But the American Blade Works Model 1 version 6. This is the first time I've gotten to try one of these, and USA made, and they're around $200. That's impressive. And, I know it's not a custom, right? But it feels like a custom. And it's made by a guy in the USA, right? They have different versions, obviously. This one's the micarta version, what looks like antique micarta. Titanium liners, titanium clip, titanium backspacer, drop point, beautiful drop point blade, good flipping action, and solid knife, and all for around $200. That's impressive. Like, because you have to think it's not a Hinder, it's not a ZT or a Kershaw, right? This is a guy, right? That's hard to do. And I give him credit being able, because I know he's not making much money off of each knife. He can't. How could he? How, honestly, really think about it. How could he be making money off of these? I mean, I'm sure he makes something, but my point is he's not making a fucking raping like ZT, who's most likely having their knives built in China and assembling them here, but not telling anybody, and then selling them to people for $380 when it's a $120 knife, right? He's not doing that. So I can't imagine he's making much money off of these. So good, or kudos to him. Because honestly, if this was a $250, $300 knife, I wouldn't blink an eye at it. I really wouldn't. Not saying I want the price to go up. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that being USA made, $200, that's a really good deal, especially from a small company, right? Like, we see what TRM is doing, and TRM's doing amazing work. They can't pump the knives out fast enough. We're blessed to have these small USA companies popping up in America in 2021, and I want more of it. But let's be real, man. It's not easy for these small companies, especially with inflation and just everything else going on right now. It's tough for these small companies, man. Tough for small businesses. Small businesses are shutting down left and right, and we got small knife companies opening up. Can a new knife be an instant classic? That's a good question. That's a good one. Instant classic. That's when you know a knife's badass, when you give it the instant classic award. Oh, and you know what? This thing looks like a classic, doesn't it? I mean, if its name was the classic, I mean, it'd fit it, right? It's literally the picture of a knife. And I like knives like that. I personally do. Like, the knives that look like a classic knife, I love that, because I know my just like your great grandfathers, my great grandfathers, they knew what the fuck they were doing. They knew what worked. And let's be real, they used the knife more than we do. For damn sure they did. So if you don't think they didn't know what worked, they knew what worked. And that's why they invented all the blade shapes. What blade shape have we invented? I mean, I guess you could kind of say maybe the drop foot, what we call the sheep. Not even. I guess they did make up the sheep's foot, but the one kind of like the bare knuckle, or kind of like this, but not this blade shape. But you guys know what I'm saying. The drop foot blade shape. We kind of made up that. and we kind of make twists to some of their blade shapes, but for the most part, they invented them all. All of them were already made for a specific purpose, and then we took them and made them EDC knives. But originally, they all had an original purpose. This knife or this blade shape was for this intended task and nothing else. Yes, the Bowie was made by Jim Bowie. And it was made for basically a fighting knife, but it was supposed to be like an all-terrain fighting knife, like a knife that you could camp with, a knife you could chop wood with, a knife you could hunt with. Basically, I think it was called a hunting/fighting knife. That's the classic Bowie, is a hunting/fighting knife, because back then you got to think about firearms, right? Firearms back then, you had a really good chance you were going to run out of ammo. And you had a really good chance you were not going to have time to reload, because I'm not positive, but I think that was black powdered at that time. I could be wrong because I'm not sure the date, but let's just say it was black powdered. If it was black powdered, when you emptied your rounds, you were done. Like, there was no, popping in another magazine, right? You maybe had another sidearm or something, but aside from that, you had your knife, and that's what you were going to use. So, locking up with, say, I don't care if it was a bear, a human being, or whatever, you had a good chance that you were probably going to have to kill something once, in your life with that knife. So it had to be, a knife that was very lethal, very quickly, and easy to obtain, easy to handle, easy to use, but also even just for survival, take away the fighting aspect. Hunting was how we ate, right? Like, I think it's hilarious when people say that that whole thing, like with the right to bear arms was for hunting or whatever. What? It doesn't even make sense, because back then, if you didn't hunt, you didn't eat. So it wouldn't be a right. That was just a way of life. That's like saying right now you have the right to walk, right? Of course, everybody hunted. You didn't eat if you didn't hunt. So that makes zero sense that you would have the right to carry a firearm to eat. Of course you had the right to have a firearm to eat. Like, that had nothing to do with that. And we all know what the Second Amendment's for and everything else. I don't need to go into that. But the point is that you needed your knife to eat. You had to. Even now we still do. But what I mean is that when you got that animal, it was alive right before you got it, like literally right before. And you wanted to skin it, gut it, and get the meat out as quick as possible, because you didn't want the organs inside to contaminate it, for one. Number two, you don't need other animals coming and taking it from you. So you drop the guts right there, drag it to either another location or whatever right there. But you want to skin it and get the meat as fast as possible. So having a knife on you was just, essential, and having a good one that worked for that. And then the belly, right? That belly of a blade. Originally, that's what that's for, skinning, right? Because the tip, you didn't want a tip. I'm not saying you don't want a tip, but I'm saying, like, you want it for skinning. A tip would puncture the fur. You needed that fur. That fur was your clothing. So, and among lots of other things. But my point is that you needed that fur to come off clean. So you wanted a good belly on your blade. You wanted a good belly on your blade so that you could skin that skin off of the animal and not puncture it, not damage it. And also, it was money, because you could take the furs and we still do, but you know what I mean. You could take the furs and trade, sell it. But if it was damaged and all messed up, it wasn't as good. It wasn't worth as much money. Oh, she'll get that tip. That's why I don't want a straight edge or worn clip. And a lot of people don't. That's the exact reason why a lot of people don't. A lot of people like the thought of, if they're gonna have a tip, it's gonna be like on a straight back type of knife, or something like this, right? Something where you still have belly, because that belly is real, even for finer tasks, right? Like getting up nice and close to something and picking, or, like prying something up, getting in between two objects. The belly of a blade is very, very important. The one thing why I like a point that drops down a lot with some belly, kind of like the Sabenza or something. The reason why I like that is because I like to be able to use the tip when I open things up and not the belly, meaning like packages and tape and things like that. Because when I use the belly, I wind up using this much of the blade rather than this much of the blade. If I use this much of the blade, it ain't shit to strop or to hone back. If I use this much of the blade, I've damaged more blade than I needed to for whatever task. So that's why I like that happy medium range. I still like worn clips and stuff, but I do find myself pulling in 2021 more toward something with a tip, but not something that's like point. Like, it depends, I guess, because for some reason, like, I get in my mind where I don't want a knife. You can call it whatever you want, but I get in my mind where I don't want a knife that I can't stab with. I want something that I can poke with, stab, but also something I can slice, push, cut, whatever. But I don't necessarily want a knife that, if I need to stab into something, I don't want something I can't do that with. For shaping and precision, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I do a lot of that during the day, and a lot of little tasks I do require a tip. So I think that's why I like, a good drop point, man. A good drop point is perfect because I have everything I need right here. I have the tip, I got the belly, and I got the push cuts. I got it all right there. Now, if you're I guess not even only, if you're doing a lot of utility cuts, yes, a blade shape like this is going to be king every time. You have the maximum amount of leverage because when you push down, all the power is going into the tip. Unlike, like, say, a drop point, you have to do that. You have to lift up higher, push straight down, then pull back. With something like this, it's like hooking it and pulling. So, but there's so many different tasks. Like, that's why it's great. There's so many different blade shapes because there's so many different, like we were just talking about. All them blade shapes were made for specific tasks because men and women did. I don't even want to say women because they didn't do shit, but men, just joking. Because men did so many different tasks day to day, women too, right? Because they did the same shit, skinning animals and sewing and, working around the house. They needed tools, right? And the guys in the field, like from a blacksmith to the horse herder to the farmer to the whatever, the leatherman, right? Everybody was different. Everybody had a different job. So they all needed different blade shapes. Hey, thank you, man. Where did recurve come from? Thank you, man. So recurve came, well, a couple different things. So a recurve originally, excuse me. So there's different versions of it. It depends on where you go in history. So like the Kukris and things like that, that was for fighting. So that was for chopping people's limbs off in battle. So if you go to that era, like, then that's what it was made for. Then you can go into other eras, like, say, just a recurve, like, say, a hawkbill. That was for cutting carpet and, things like that in construction. You could hook it and drag pull. Then there was also other ones that were like, I don't want to say machete, but kind of like a smaller kukri, I guess you could say, but where it was just a recurve, and it made it to where when you're draw cutting or slicing period, the material gets trapped behind the belly. So it's kind of like, I'm trying to put it into a good term, but where the belly is basically constantly pulling in a new edge to the thing you're cutting. So the thing you're cutting is being caught. I don't have a recurve right here, I don't think. But let's just pretend. Let's just pretend this is a recurve. So it would get pulled into the recurve right here. Then this part would constantly introduce a new part of the edge because you're dragging it. So it would make it to where the material wouldn't fall out. And you could, just keep pulling through like a claw. Exactly. Like a claw, except for a sharp claw, right? Because a claw is not necessarily sharp on the inside, but it's pointy. But same concept though, like a claw. If you picture like those razor blades that are claws, like for shingles, kind of like that, but in a knife. But same thing with the chopper, if you think about it, or the kukri, it was just weight in the front of the blade, and the weight of that blade would bring it down and chop things. But you could also use it to chop, like say if you were chopping whatever, body parts or trees, if it gets caught in the belly, that belly's going to drag it right into the heavy part of the edge and cut through. Do you think a Chavez Red 229 would be a good trade for a Microtech stitch? Because I think it is. I don't think it's a bad idea. Both are great knives, so I don't think that's not a trade where somebody would ever think like, you fucked up. There's people that love the stitch and there's people that love the 229, right? Now, if you take USA made versus Rpm made out of it, I like the Chavez better than the stitch. I personally think that the stitch is kind of ugly. I'm not saying it's not a good knife. I'm not saying I wouldn't use it. I'm not saying I wouldn't love it. But I think the Chavez, just next to each other, I think the Chavez looks damn good compared to the stitch. Now, obviously, I want to pick USA made, because, I root for the home team. But I like Chavez better, in my opinion. Recurve like on my favorite $20 knife, Ontario Utilitech 1A. Body part. Wait, damn it, where'd it go? Body parts, trees. What's the difference? Let's ask her. But yeah, think about it. You already know. That's what the kukri was made for. The kukri was made for battle, for war, and then chopping trees. Right? It's like first priority was battle. Second was getting through the woods to the battle. Like, even though the first part was getting through the woods to the battle, that was second thought on that knife. Yeah, it works for that because, of course, what works for chopping limbs works for chopping limbs, right? Limbs are exactly this dude. Limbs are limbs, exactly. Yeah, I don't have one, but someone in a Discord I'm in has 2 M390 stitches, and he said he'd trade one for the Chavez. Yeah, so you're saying he's got 2 stitches, and he said he'd trade one for, so you're saying you're going to trade a Chavez for a stitch. If you want the stitch, they're both great knives. Personally, I think the stitch is going to be more sought after than the Chavez. I personally think the Chavez looks better, but I do think the stitch is more sought after. I think you'd be able to sell either one that fast, but the stitch would be that much faster if you wanted to sell it. He'll give you a couple stitches for a Chavez. Yeah, make sure it's not a trick. Mr. Light says he loves his stitches, but he wants a Chavez. Yeah, I haven't tried a stitch. So, it's not even right for me to be speaking on them because I never tried one. But I've seen them, obviously. I've seen videos on them and stuff. I'm not a massive auto fan. If you took the stitch and it was a manual, now we're talking, right? Now we're speaking the same language. Kukris were actually the sidearm for Kukra warriors. They used to carry talwars as their primary weapon into battle, which are these Indian long sabers. Wow, I thought the Kukri was their primary. Okay, so that was their secondary. I wouldn't want to fucking meet neither one of them. The primary or the secondary. Talk about a hell of a secondary, right? Here today, we're talking about this is my secondary. Back then, they're like, this is my secondary. How do you sharpen a recurve with a flat stone? You can, there's different ways. So it depends on how much recurve it has. If it's a little recurve, just like not much recurve. I actually do have a recurve up here. I don't know why I didn't say I didn't have one. If it has a little bit of recurve, you can use the corner of the stone. So what you can do is you can start off. Everything's the opposite. You can start off in the corner with the heel. Let me get this off. With the heel of the blade. And you can run the corner of the stone. So you basically just use the corner of the stone. Now, if it has a heavy recurve, that might not work so good. So you might want a rod or a thin stone. Now, if you only have flat stones, there's another way. I'm not going to let you down. You can take your stone, turn it sideways, and you can use this edge like this. Depending on how thick your stone is, though. Some stones, if they're really wide, then yeah, it's not going to work. But if it's like, like a stone like this isn't a stone, but I mean like this size, it's perfect for it. But I've sharpened many recurves on just a flat stone like this, You just got to learn to ride the corner and just use the corner of the stone. You're kind of using the corner of the stone like a rod, basically. Reach and speed win sword fights. Yeah. I don't doubt that. Reach is definitely gonna be a good one, but I think speed is going to be a big factor, because if you're swinging a big sword and I can see it coming, like with anything, and it's gonna take you twice as long for me to get my sword to you. It doesn't matter how long it is. If I can get to it fast, I mean, obviously it does matter how long it is, but I'm saying like if it's only a few inches or 6 inches or even a foot, because hell, I can step a foot really fast. Dave. Oh no, 2A Dave. I like the name. I thought it was a Z at first. 2A Dave, thank you for all your videos on sharpening. I'm new to the knife world and learning a lot. My top three I own: AD10, 0393, and 940-1. Nice. Thank you for the donation. You know what? We talked about the 940-1 earlier, but we didn't bring up the AD10. Maybe I should have. I don't have an 80-10. I got a 15 and a 20. What's up, Jared? Can't stay long, but wanted to stop by and say, hey, what's up, Jordan? Thanks for stopping in, man. Too bad you can't stay longer. I'm glad you did at least stop in and say what's up, though. I appreciate that. Where'd it go? The people that are here and not caressing the like button are going to piss off the crazy moderators, and they will find you. Yeah, you'd be surprised. Last week, they got a couple of your guys' addresses. Better watch out. Ask your wives. 2 foot 6 inches, 2 foot 6, 2 to 6 feet. Wait, 2 to 6 inches, 1 foot. Well, I'm saying like that between this and this, that's not that much in like between swords. If we both have swords, right? Like obviously it does become a big deal. But if the one is twice the weight and takes you twice as long to swing it at me, it's only going to take me to hit you once. Like, I had a guy swing a bat at me before, and he swung it like this, so it wasn't shit for me to run up and just grab it from him. Like he didn't even get a chance to swing it. So like just depends. And and back then people that did do that, all right, people that they did practice sword fighting, they knew how to anticipate distance. It's kind of like boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, all those things today, right? You learn to anticipate distance, timing, and distance, right? You're either in or you're out, right? If I'm out, I'm out, so you can't reach me. But if I have time, I'm in, and if I'm in, I'm all the way in. So knowing that time and distance, that's going to be the biggest factor in a sword fight. Shit, I never thought of the edge of the corner. I only use diamond surface though. Thanks, dude. Not a problem. But yeah, I've done them on diamond plates. Diamond rods would be better for a recurve. But if you only have a diamond plate, if the recurve isn't big, or it's not about how long or short, it's about how like round it is. If it's subtle, you can use the corner. I've done it. Hey Jared, have you handled the Civivi Statira? I love mine, and maybe I might send you mine. Take a look at when you sharpen my Spidey. No, that is the one Civivi I never got to try. I tried all the other ones, for the older ones, but that's one of the older ones I never tried, and I know it had such a massive reputation. I'm almost kind of nervous to handle it now because it's old, and at this point I don't know if it would do the channel justice, but I feel like I would love it so much it would make me want to buy one, and I can't afford to waste money on knives that aren't good for the channel right now. But yeah, I'd love to check it out though. In all reality, here I am just feeding the beast. I feel the same about autos. Don't really care for them, but it's the first knife that got me into this crazy world of knives. BMCLA with the green texture. Oh, Benchmade green texture G10. I want to sell, but sentimental attachment. Yeah. I want to talk about the sentimental attachment too, but yeah, I used to be into autos, and I'm just not into them no more because now we make detents so good. I know people say like they enjoy the fidget factor of an OTF, right? And I still like an auto. Like I did that ProTech the other day, the Newport. I love the ting sound when it closes, but I just don't see any of them opening up as fast as I can open this up. I mean, we can time it. I mean, you're not going to open it up faster than I can open it up. So at that point, like, it's just giving me resistance because now when I close it, especially if it's full size, it's going to be a bitch to close one-handed, like I like. So now I know an OTF, right? It shoots out the front, back in. That's cool. I do like them. I'm just not a big fan of carrying them. An OTF to me, they're not very useful. They're useful for one thing, right? But so is this. I can do this with the same thing. We know what we're talking about. But for regular EDC use, now if you're just opening up a package, yeah, whatever, it'll work, right? Anything will work. There's a lot of people where anything will work. And under those circumstances, I think those knives are great because now you actually have a self-defense tool and you have a knife that'll work for what you need. But me, I work with a knife at work. So that type of blade shape, grind, etc., just isn't very useful for me. So I like to have specific tool, like we were talking about earlier, everybody's different. Everybody shape and grind and style is going to be a little different. And me, just OTFs don't really do it for me because I love the usefulness of a sidearm or a secondary, tool on you, but I just don't like the thought of working with it or using it for actual cutting. Like I said, if I'm just opening something up, yeah, of course it's fine. I see 59 likes. I don't see 24. Let me see. Yep, 69 now. 69. You guys are immature. Only 21 likes. There. Yeah, please hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Definitely helps with the algorithm, especially if you like the content. And if you don't like the content, leave me a dislike. Oh, I'll take those. I'll take those. OTFs just seem a little overkill and more aggressive than necessary. Yeah, I mean, some people, I think they're great for certain people, right? I think certain specific people tasks, it's awesome. To me, I think I could. Don't get me wrong. I do on kicking the camera, guys. You guys know I do that. I do agree that in a certain scenario, that's about as good as it gets, right? To an extent, because it's made to go in and out. Like that's gonna be great. I just when I think about things I've been through and everything, and like just like experiences and stuff, I don't doubt the damage I can't do with this versus that. So don't get me wrong. I agree that that is more efficient. I do agree, but it's it just I think I'd be okay with the other thing because 99.9% of the things I'll be doing with that tool it'll work better for. And then the one thing that I hopefully never do run into again, hopefully, the one I'm carrying 99.99% of the time that works with everything else will be just fine. The Statera has some patina on the blade of it being D2, but it can get wicked thin behind the edge. Thin blade stock, carbon fiber laminate over blade. Do I need to go for... Wait, do I need to go on for... No, you don't, because I already know. I mean, it's a damn good buy. I mean, now, if they redid that knife and did like a Statera 2.0, that would be amazing, and do it in the 14C28N. Whoo, that'd be sweet. I don't like that carbon fiber laminate. Just go carbon fiber or G10 in my opinion. But if they redid that in micarta with 14C28N, can you imagine? I don't know why they wouldn't. I kind of think there's some things that I think certain companies do that they just shit the bed on. They shit the bed on it. And it's like, man, you guys have all the opportunity to make something easy, because think about how hard would it be for them to make it. They already make it. So literally they wouldn't have to waste any money on a design or or programming CNCs or anything. All they'd have to do is put different materials in the fucking CNC. Bang, done. And then send it to me to advertise for them. That's all they'd have to do. What do you like about 14C28N versus S35 or 20CV? I mean, I like all three. I do. I think the best thing about 14C is its consistencies. Yes, there's going to be better versions of it. There's always going to be better versions of any steel. It doesn't matter what it is. But you don't see very much bad 14C because it's hard to do bad. It was originally made to heat treat on a conveyor belt for like razor blades. So it's super easy to heat treat. Now, if you put a little bit of effort into it, obviously it's going to be far better than if you fucking heat treat it on a conveyor belt. But my point is that it's super consistent at the very least, even at a low HRC. So it doesn't matter if it's a 55 or a 59, it's going to be good, right? If we go up to like 60, 61, now we're talking amazing. I think up past like 62 or something, I might get chippy. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'd love to see a company, or not even a company, a custom heat treater do that. I'd love to see it get pushed to its limits, but I love 14C. And the fact that we can get it for such a great value. Now, I do think that they underplay it. Not underplay it. They don't give it as much credit as it deserves for its edge retention. I think it holds a lot better edge than we give it credit for. And I think the reason why is because all the statistics on it are showing its statistics for 55 HRC, which we've seen cut tests show with those, like that they still get good edge retention. Now, I think the ones that we're seeing more lately from companies, I think they're doing it at a higher HRC. Like supposedly, Civivi's doing theirs at like 61. And if that's the case, then it's going to get better edge retention than that shit at 55. So I think its potential is a lot better, and we're seeing a lot better edge retention than advertised. And we're getting it for a great deal. S35VN, kind of the same thing. It's easy for companies, I think, to heat treat. It's very consistent. It's a great steel. It's tough. It's plenty tough. Good edge retention. It's just a great all-around steel. The fact that we're starting to put it into a budget category is only because we can get it for a good deal. Because in all reality, that is a damn solid good steel. We're spoiled. We're spoiled with steels. We're spoiled with everything in 2021 from Neeves, and calling S35VN a budget steel, I do the same thing. And I'm only saying it because we can get it for such a good deal. And it's not like that it's being done bad, because, like I said, S35 is reasonably easy for them to do. So whether you're paying $250 or $100, either way, it's probably going to be pretty good. Of course, some companies are going to do it better. Of course, that's with any steel. You know, some companies are going to do it better. But do we ever see it bad? I have seen it bad, so I don't want to say we'd never see it bad, but usually we don't. I've seen it bad from ZT before, but usually we don't. Now, 20CV, that's the one. I love it. I love it. I love it. But it's not for production companies. It's hard for companies to do on a consistent level. Remember, we're talking about consistent because we're talking about production knives. If we're talking about custom heat treats, yeah, 20 CV all day, right? Of course. But when we're talking about production heat treats, it's not for that. It was never supposed to be, just like D2. D2 wasn't ever supposed to be, because the reason why is because it has to be at a certain temp, and when it's being heat treated, it has like a 50-degree range, where if it's higher or lower than that 50-degree range, that's the difference between shit. You know, it's just going to be either shit or good. So we can see lots of inconsistencies. That's why we see good 20 CV and decent 20 CV, and sometimes bad 20 CV. Actually, a lot of times bad. So I love it. I just know the realities of it. Let's skip on 14C. Fuck, I talk about it all the time. I love 14C28N. It's one of my favorite steels. Absolutely one of my favorite steels. I can't rave about it enough. Because it's the thing is that, you know, we are looking, when we look for steels, right? We are looking, all of us are, for a well-rounded steel. What does that mean? It means it's going to be corrosion resistant, tough, good edge retention, easy to sharpen. Those are the things. Some of us don't care about easy to sharpen, but the other three, the triangle at least, we care about. 14C has that. It's very tough. It's great stain resistance, and it holds a good edge. And it's easy to sharpen. Now, like I said, I don't think we're giving it enough credit for its edge retention. I don't think we are. I know we're not. I know we're not. Because the graphs that we see that show 14C28N, they're looking at the makeup of it. They're looking at what it's made of and saying, it fits in this box. This is where it fits. But if you listen to like Dr. Larry Thomas, if you listen to him, there's so many other variables. Like my mind cracks in half when I listen to him talk, because I can't even keep up with all the phrases and the wording. I don't even know what half of them mean. But there's so many other variables, and he'll tell you like, well, some people say, well, if you add vanadium, this is what this means, but not in the case of if, you know, this is in there, or if you add this little bit of nitrogen or whatever. Like, there's so many other variables. So I think that, yes, it's a very simple makeup. The steel is very simple. That's what makes it so good. I think that's why it's so easy, right? It was originally 4 blades. Right? There's a reason why it was 4, not knives, I guess you could say, but for razors, then for pocket knives. There's a reason. And also because it could be heat treated consistently fast. So Logical wants to gift me a Kukris. I've never tried 14 before. Tucson, yeah. Tucson does a good job with it. Everybody does. Nobody does a shit job with it. Where's my Kukris at? Jared, you need to check out this custom I found recently. It's by HR Knives, and it's called the Tasca 2. And the one on Instagram I like is black mirror polish with the purple. Tell me how I can find it. RH Knives Tasca 2. Here, you know what? I got Google pulled up right now, actually. Give me 1 second. Add to the stream. RH Knives Tasca 2. Why won't this let me? Oh, shit. RH Knives. Why isn't this typing? RH Knives Tasca 2. Did I spell it right? I'm guessing this is it. Let's check it out. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Oh, yeah, that does look pretty cool. I don't know what all this is over here, so let's get rid of that. You guys can't see this? It's not showing to you? No, it's not. All right, hang on 1 second, guys. All right, I'll have to redo this. Remove. Give me 1 second. I don't know why it's not. Share. Stop screen. Right. Share. Share screen. Chrome tab. Task 2. All right, here we go. Man, I'm getting good at this stuff, guys. I'm basically a pro at this point. Pretty much a professional. There it is. I know. I don't know why it wasn't letting you guys see it, but you know, I pulled the genius out of my brain and I fucking hooked it up. Yeah, that looks sweet. I really like, because I need some fat carbon in my life. I've never owned any, I've never had any, and I really want some. This looks like a good knife. I'll tell you one thing I hate about it right now. Let's see if anybody can call it. What's one thing I hate about this knife right now? Who can call it? There's one thing I hate about this knife. What is it? Who can name it? Come on, somebody can name it. I love the knife. I like it a lot, but there's one specific thing that I hate about this knife. Brandon Gavin, there you go. The damn choil. What the fuck kind of choil is this? Because look at it. The plunge grind lands on the edge. Because you see the shadow there? Can you guys see my... Yeah, you guys can. See the little hand I got right here? This shadow right here, this is the plunge grind. So look at the tip of the finger, right? That right there is the beginning of the plunge grind. This right here is the end of the plunge grind. Man, this is so much easier to do than on when I'm like reviewing. So this taper right here is the plunge grind. And it lands on the edge. What is the plunge grind? The plunge grind is right here. All this is the thick part of the steel. All this is the same thickness. Now, in order to get down to this thin edge we have here, they have to taper this thickness down to this thickness. So that's what that is. They're tapering it down. So what they should have did was just dropped it straight down to the edge, like Spyderco does. Oh, can you guys see that? Yeah, it still looks badass though. RWL34 too. I like RWL34. I love the carbon fiber, man. Fat carbon is so sweet. So it's a flicker knife. I like it, man. I like it a lot. I think that looks very cool. Let's check out some other pictures. Let's check the backside out. Oh yeah. Yeah, that looks sweet. Oh yeah. I love that toxic green. it looks like it took a bath in I don't know, some toxic shit. The clip looks good too. Yeah, that looks badass. I like that. I like that a lot. With you, get that damn stock on the edge. That's the R. What did we call it? What was it? The RH Tasca 2. RH Knives Tasca with a C 2. So TASCA 2. Doesn't the CJRB Malaya use their own steel? Yes. The Rpm9 Steel. Yes, that's their own powder version steel. It's basically like a powdered version of 9CR. It's a little bit better, but I guess because it's a powdered version, it's better because, you know, since it's a powder version. Now, the one thing I've noticed with some powder versions, not all, but some, they don't like to take a polish. A lot of the powdered steels, like even like when we talk about 154 CM and CPM 154, well, CPM 154 does not like to take a polish. I mean, it'll take a beautiful polish. What I mean is that it's slick. The edge is like very slick. It has no teeth left. And it's because the steel is a powdered steel. So the I'm guessing like the grain structure is very fine in it, which doesn't allow like the carbides to be nice and big so that when you sharpen it doesn't have teeth. That's my theory. I have to shout something out. Shit, we didn't even talk about any of my topics. We've been just going buck. So I gotta shout out Grateful Panic's GoFundMe. I'm not sure if somebody in the chat or one of the moderators can possibly link that for me. That'd be so awesome. Grateful Panic's GoFundMe. Please, guys, go check that out. So a question. Hopefully we can get that pulled up. If not, shout out to Grateful Panic. Please, guys, go find his GoFundMe. Help him out. He needs some help, and I know he'd really appreciate it. At least go. Thank you, Monster. Bang, right there. Please go check out Grateful Panic's GoFundMe. Help him out. Contact him. Talk to him. Yes, shout out to him. So, question to you guys. Wait, hold on. Let me read this first. How do you choose what stones to use? I have the Griptillian Silicon Carbide 5-stone set from my Blitz 360. There's so many to choose from. I have M390, 154, LMAX 20 CV. Okay, I would just choose whatever has diamonds. In my opinion, diamonds are the best. I like diamonds because, like, okay, let me just put it this way. Because lots of people will argue with me, and you don't have to. This is my point. Say if you're the guy who says aluminum oxide's fine. I got into an argument with somebody earlier, not an argument, a conversation with somebody earlier about using like the Tormek, right? I'm not saying the Tormek is bad, right? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we've learned, right, from tests that edges from aluminum oxide versus diamond edges on super steels, right? High carbide steels. The edge does not last as long as with a diamond edge. Now we have the argument of carbide tear out. Lots of arguments, right? Some people argue that doesn't exist. Okay, that's fine. But let's look at the anecdotal evidence. There are so many people saying it does. Now, if you take the people that do and the people that say it doesn't, right? Why risk it? Right? Let's just say that. Why risk it? If the anecdotal evidence of people saying, yes, it does, who cares about the people who say, no, it doesn't? Because we have the ability to have diamond stones. So why not just knock that variable out and say, okay, I'll just use diamonds instead of. Now, I'm not saying don't use aluminum oxide. I use aluminum oxide all the time. I have aluminum oxide stones, but I use them for certain steels. That way I don't have to waste my diamonds, diamond plates, diamond Venise stones on my, on those when I can use them on my super steels. So there's a lot of other steels that you can use aluminum oxide on. But one thing that does work for all of them is diamonds. So if you only had diamonds, it would work for all of them except for the carbon steels. Carbon steels, yes, I do agree that diamonds don't do as good. Aluminum oxide does a little bit better on those steels for whatever reason, right? But usually those aren't steels we're dealing with, right? We're dealing with, for the most part, mid-grade to super steels. Diamonds will cut all those steels and cut them good and get you, in my opinion, an even sharper, crisper edge. I'm not saying that if you didn't sharpen it with diamonds and then use aluminum oxide at the end to just refine it, that's fine. Or a ceramic stone, that's fine. But the initial sharpening of that edge, when you're removing the steel and creating the apex and knocking off, the burr, I guess not knocking off the burr, but when you're creating the apex and shaving it down, I think diamonds are the way to go. So, but yeah, I just said use diamonds. That's my opinion. Now, I like other stones too. I'm not saying I don't, because I do. I love natural stones. I love natural stones. I really do. Like, some of my favorite stones are natural stones. I love that the earth made them. I love that they sharpen such a keen edge. Some of them can get you some of the most razor fucking edges you'll ever see. But I'll usually use diamonds first and then hone with that. Right. Diamonds never do me wrong either. and check this out. You can use an aluminum oxide that cuts fast, of course. But diamonds cut fast, right? Like, of course, there's going to be some aluminum oxide stones out there that are very, very coarse. I personally think with certain steels, those really, really coarse aluminum oxide, yes, they'll sharpen them, right? Aluminum oxide will sharpen the steel. Of course, that's not the question. Like, a lot of people argue, like, thinking like, oh, I get sharp edges all the time on aluminum oxide. Yeah, no shit. No shit. Of course you do. Nobody ever says you can't sharpen or you won't get a sharp edge. You're going to get a damn sharp edge. That's not the point. The point is how is Canada here? Damn it. Sorry, guys. Canada was here for a second. But I don't remember where I was. Oh, yeah. Aluminum oxide will sharpen the edge. It'll make it very sharp. But it's the quality of the edge. How long will it last? Will there be carbide tear out? Will, like either during the process or after it's done and you start using the knife. A lot of times people, see you later, Mr. 2%. But I'm sorry, Canada showed up on my end. I'm sorry, guys. Arkansas translucent are nice. I got a nice one. I love my translucent. It's one of, if not for my Neeves, that's my most loved stone. And I might even love it more, to be honest. That's a great stone. Dang, the chat's skipping on me. You were about to go to your list. Just want to remind y'all, XD. What was XD? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So, name a knife. Oh no, hold on. Sorry. Name a problem with a knife. So I'm expecting everybody to just name one thing. I know there's people listening. Some people aren't in the chat and they can just follow along. But people that are chatting, name something that's a problem, right? So something that if you bought a knife or whatever, you got a knife that you consider a problem, but it doesn't really matter. Think about that. It's a problem, but it doesn't really matter. So like maybe if a person reviewed it, they would say, this is an issue or it's a problem, but to you, it doesn't matter. Can you guys think of something? Because I have one in particular that I always think about. And if I reviewed the knife, it would totally be on the list. But there's a reason why it doesn't matter. And pretty soon you're going to see, I'm going to do a review and a knife is going to have this problem. And I'm going to tell you why it doesn't matter. My dude, let me get a shout out soon to be dad in October. Can't wait to continue watching your channel. Introduce my boy to the knife scene. Congratulations, Carlos. Congratulations. You're gonna be a daddy. Shout out to Carlos and his new son, man. That's amazing, man. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Everybody give him a good clapping, because that's a blessing, man. We need some great fathers and sons, especially in 2021. It's important to our society and survival, man. So congratulations to you, man. And yeah, it's I think it's awesome when I see fathers raising their sons into knives, like, and just enjoying the hobby, because man, when I was a kid, like, that was the most fascinating thing to me. My dad taught me all kinds of shit about knives and sharpening knives. Loved it. Okay. 13 Fomet says lock stick. Okay. I guess that maybe not, because you can always put marker on it, right? You can always put marker, lead, or get it carbonized, or it'll break in, like if it's a lock bar insert. Okay. I don't care about lock stick. Thanks, Strider. You can get it carbonized though, so I can understand why that might be a thing. But if you don't deal with it, then I could see it being a problem. But marker, lead, carbonized, knife modders, okay. I hate double clutch, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, I can see that, because really, why is it that big of a deal? It's just irritating, right? But we do talk about it a lot. I just talked about it the other day. The type of lock. Okay. So I guess some locks could be considered an issue, like to some people, but for the most part, as long as it locks, it works, right? As long as it locks. I hate double clutch, but it doesn't matter to some. My Sen 2 son knife scratches and shows fingerprints easily. Yeah, and really, does that really matter? Does it really? Like, in all reality, you can stonewash it or put a new satin finish on it. So the thing I'm gonna say is and I know you guys would never expect this, lock rock or lock play. Like when you can, like, when it's not the lock bar moving, but there's actual movement in the blade. And the reason why I say it doesn't matter is because if there's lock play, all you got to do is bend the lock bar a little bit and poof, there goes the lock play. Now, if it's lock rock, right, you're actually getting flex, like the lock bar is actually moving a little bit. You can A, do what I just said, or B, you could take it apart and take just a little bit of sandpaper and rub that lock bar, and most likely it'll fall into a better place, a more secure place, without scooting all the way over. You most likely won't even be able to see that it moved, but that little bit of friction from the sandpaper on top of it, just a little bit, will put it right into place and will create a little bit of friction on it, so when you put pressure on the spine, it won't move no more. It's so easy to fix that I don't even consider it a problem, really, because I know how easy I can fix it. And of course, there's going to be outliers, right? There's going to be knives out there that's like, yeah, I'm not fucking with this thing. Like, I'm going to send it to the company. In that case, the company will take care of it. But for regular knives you don't care about taking apart and working on, it's not a big deal. You can fucking fix it in 5 seconds. And it is that easy. Just bend the lock. And speaking about that, with detents, right? Soft detents, hard detents, heavy detents, things like that, we should be tuning our knives more. And what I mean is that pretty much every knife, when it leaves at the factory, when they're doing it, they're adjusting the lock bar to the tension that it requires for it to have the type of action that it needs to leave the door, right? Not saying it's specifically for you, but it ain't shit for you to adjust it and tune your detent strength and lock bar strength for you. And I know some people do it. I do it. Some people do it in the community. but I think it should be a more frequent thing. I think a lot of, yes, story time. A lot of times people worry about certain things like, oh, it has a light detent. Okay, we'll adjust it, right? Or, oh, it has the detent's too strong. Adjust it, right? And once you've done it a few times, you learn that it's so easy. And it, a little bit goes a long way. Okay, so I got a story. All right, let's get into story time. Story time. All right, so this is about an interrogation. Your boy in the interrogation room. So I've been interrogated a lot, like a lot. The first time I was ever interrogated, I was 12 or 13. I think I was like 12 or 13. So, and since then, I had been interrogated many times, right? Many, many times. And what I mean is, like, you guys have seen the movies. Some of you have probably been interrogated, but when you see the movies where the cops bring you into a room, there's the double-sided mirror and shit, and they have the light in your face, and they're talking to you, and or like you watch 48 Hours, and they got them in the room, and there's a cop sitting there with a notebook asking you questions, right? Interrogation. Great knife. Awesome knife. I think that's smart, Carlos, because you know, making it your own is, it's your knife, right? You should make it how you like it. It's just, and if you know how to do it, then you won't never have an issue, and you're more confident doing it. So, this was one interrogation where I had been in an interrogation a lot at this point, so I already knew the ropes. So I wasn't scared of interrogation at this point. Like in the past, you know, as a kid and the first few times, yes, right? But now I know my rights, right? I'm pretty good at my rights, and I know better, right? I know as long as I keep my fucking mouth shut, I'm gonna be able to leave, most likely. And even if I'm not, I'm still gonna keep my mouth shut because I'll be able to leave the next day. It's only when you open your mouth and start talking when shit hits the fan, you get in trouble. So if any one of you guys ever, and sometimes like I've been interrogated when I didn't do nothing at all. And literally the time I'm talking about right now was one of those times. And I'll tell you about it in a second. But if you're ever in an interrogation room, always ask for a lawyer. Don't ever talk. Ever, 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 ever. Even the little details. Nothing. Because they'll turn things into things so fast. Well, and like one time I told this story before where they brought me in and they tried to and it was a stolen item. I honestly I did not steal it. I didn't I never even seen the item before. And they were trying to get me to touch it. And I refused, right? I was like, it ain't mine, you know. And the cop was trying to tell me that, oh, we got you on camera, like turning it into a pawn shop or something. I said, bullshit. Let me see it, right? And he tried to get me like to sign this paper thing, right? And he was trying to get me to snitch on myself and trying to get me to touch it so I can put my fingerprints on it. And when that didn't work, and I told him, show me the video, he let me go right after that. So literally, I was literally on the fence of being charged for something I did not do versus walking out the door. Anyways, so now we're on to this next story. So what happened was I was doing a garage sale. I told some of this story before, but right now I'm going to talk mostly about the interrogation. But what happened was these people showed up to my garage sale, and I could tell something was off. I could tell something was off with these people. And well, they want to be in undercovers. And so the cop winds up out of nowhere arresting me for nothing, right? For nothing. And I already know, like, he ain't got no right to search me. He ain't got none. He's arresting me for nothing. So I already know I'm fine, right? But he was using it to they were trying to use leverage to get into my house, to bully my girlfriend at the time into getting into my house and searching my house without a warrant. And they did the most unethical shit any cops could do, like everything you could imagine, and the most illegal shit, the most crooked cops you can imagine. Anyways, but besides that part of the story, right? Let's just skip that part. I know that's a great part of the story, but we're going to skip that because this is about the interrogation. So I get into the interrogation room because he arrests me. For what? I don't know. Because it was for nothing. Because, like I said, they were just trying to trap me so they could, because they couldn't do it if I was there and I was free, because I wouldn't let them. But they could bully my girlfriend and steal her phone and prevent her from calling and telling my family or anybody to get over there, right? And they broke into my house. They fucking robbed me, literally robbed me, all kinds of shit. Anyways, but when I'm in the interrogation room, and this lady walks in, and I already know, like, the ropes, right? I already know, like, they're not getting nothing out of me. And I almost find it hysterical at the time. So I start playing along. Like, I didn't ask for a lawyer right away, so I'm kind of stringing her along. And I think it's hilarious. So she's asking me questions, and I know at this point what I can say and what I can't say. Like, I know what will hurt me and what won't, right? So she's asking basic questions, so I'm answering them, but being cool. Like, I'm trying to make it seem like I'm being cooperative, right? I'm not, right? I'm not being cooperative, but I'm pretending I'm being cooperative. Well, then she starts accusing me of things, right? So then I said, lawyer, right? I said, that's all I said. I just looked at her, I said, lawyer. And she goes, oh, or how'd she say it? Because she was trying to, like, blame me for things. And she was like, oh, well, if you do that, I'm not going to be able to help you. I said, help me? I said, you're sitting here trying to accuse me of things I didn't do. I said, how the fuck are you going to help me? I said, you're sitting here trying to bust me for something I didn't do, and you're trying to help me? And I said, no, I think my fucking lawyer will help me. And she got pissed. She stood up. She slams this book, right? And then she walks out. She's not allowed to talk to me after that. They're literally not allowed to say anything to you after that. Well, they wind up coming back in, and they're trying to, like, talk me out of not wanting a lawyer. And I start fighting with them, right? Like, they tried coming in, and I start saying, I'm leaving, right? Like, if you don't have nothing on me, because I kept saying, what are you arresting me for, right? They wouldn't tell me anything. They just kept me locked in this room. And they were trying to do that because, and like I said, I didn't know what was going on the outside. So I'm confused. So to me, I'm like, why am I here? Because you haven't told me anything. So I'm like, I'm leaving. If you're not going to tell me what I'm being arrested for, then I'm leaving. And I'm screaming. I'm freaking out. My cousin wound up coming in there at the same time. I didn't know this, but they had arrested him down the street, driving my van. But I didn't know this. So he was actually just a couple doors down, eating pizza, smoking cigarettes, because he was talking to him. He didn't know anything. So he's just sitting there talking to him. But since he's cooperating, not cooperating like snitching, but just cooperating, they're giving him whatever he wants. And since I'm being uncooperative, they won't give me shit. Then finally, like, I stood up and tried to bully my way out of there, and they got mad and wound up actually arresting me because they couldn't let me leave. That was the thing. They were literally in the process of robbing and tearing my house to pieces. So if I got out and got home, I would have seen everything that was happening. So they needed me to be arrested. So they arrested me on a bullshit charge. I wound up the next morning, I think it was the next morning, whatever. I wound up going to court, and the judge just dropped it. Nothing happened. I literally walked up to the judge. He said the case is dropped. So they held me that whole time for nothing at all, just to fucking rob me and break into my house, take a bunch of my shit, and try to build a case on me, but they didn't get nothing because I didn't have anything. I think they were trying to find something in particular, and they didn't find it. And when they didn't find it, they figured they might as well rob me. So that's what wound up happening out of it. Suspicious, highly suspicious activity. I was definitely doing a lot of highly suspicious activity, but nothing. I mean, I'm sure that it was warranted, but what I'm saying is that do it legally, right? You're the cop. If I'm the criminal, then I'm the criminal for a reason, right? If you stoop down to my level and you're a criminal too, how are we different, right? If you have to break the law, to fuck with me, then how are we different? So that's my point. Anyways, but yeah, they didn't get nothing out of it. Case got dropped. My house got robbed, and there's nothing I could do about it. What could I do about it? How could I prove it? There was nothing I could do. So it is what it is. Fuck no, they didn't have a search warrant. No, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have nothing. They used my ex at the time as the excuse to get in. She didn't tell them they could come in. Plus, she didn't have the authority. She's a girlfriend. She doesn't own the house. I own the house. She has zero authority to allow them in my house. And they used her and stole her phone from her. So she couldn't call anybody to get help. And then they bullied her their way. She didn't know any better. She had never been arrested or anything like that. So being swarmed by a bunch of cops bullying her, she didn't know what to do. She was scared. And they knew that. So that's what they did. And they wouldn't let her in the house. They held her outside. They broke into my house, destroyed my house, stole all kinds of shit. She told me they walked out with like 3 boxes full of stuff. Some of the stuff was like sentimental to me. Like really sentimental things, like I had like some of my grandma's possessions because my grandma had just passed away. Like they stole shit like that. Yeah, some crooked ass cops. Oh, thanks, man. We've probably all been in similar. I'm sure. Right there is your indecision. Yeah, I would have if I could have. I had nothing. What could I say? Literally, I had nothing. Like it's my word against theirs, right? I'm the criminal, so I don't have no word. And when I'm saying all this, don't think like I'm against cops, guys. Like, because I'm not, right? I know what I was. I know what I did wrong. Like I own that shit. But no, there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do about it. There was no evidence, right? There was nothing. The only thing I had was it got dropped. They dropped it. So what am I supposed to say? They robbed me? Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? What do I have? I got my girlfriend's word that they went into the house. They don't have to admit that they stole anything. They could say anything. Like there's no way. There's no way to fight that. There's really not a way. If you understand, like if you've ever been in that situation, like I've beat cops before in court with lawyers, like with cases where I've had them like interrogated on the stand and won, literally won. But to win something like that, that's tough without evidence. It's so tough. Possession's 9/10 of the law. So I didn't know which ones it was. I wasn't there, remember? So I couldn't say which ones did it, which like she could, but not really because there were so many of them. Like the whole thing, like I heard because like I said I wasn't there that there was like it was my whole parking lot was filled with squads. So who knows? But regardless, I wound up leaving and not getting into any trouble for that. But it was weird how they came onto my property at first pretending to be. They literally walked up pretending to be buyers at my garage sale. I was having a garage sale and a good garage sale too. I might say it was a damn good one. They walked up in plain clothes and were acting like they were going to buy something. But I could tell something was off. The way they were acting, the way they were questioning things, and I knew something was up. So then they walked away. 5 seconds later, it was like they just went to their car, threw on their shit, and walked back up. Came back with badges and, armed and everything else. definitely go check out this GoFundMe. Thank you again, Monster. It's Grateful Panics. GoFundMe, go check that out. Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they did. I think at that time they I don't know if they, because the garage sale thing, I think they might have thought like I was selling stolen shit or something, but I wasn't. Like I wasn't. Like that was for them to think that was a wrongful thought, if that was the thought. And like I was probably, I'm sure I was selling stuff, but that's irrelevant, right? It's irrelevant because you need a fucking warrant, right? It doesn't matter what you think. You have to have evidence. Just like with me, with that, like I can't just say it, like, and that doesn't mean you use your badge. Like, think about this, right? If every assumption led to a cop going up to a person's house just because they assumed and bullying your wife or your girlfriend or your sister or your grandma into coming into your house and then robbing you and stealing things that are sentimental to you that you can't replace. I mean, think about that. I mean, it doesn't matter what I did. Right? I'm not saying it doesn't matter what I did. It doesn't matter what they think I did, like unless they can prove it or have a warrant. Right? That's why they exist, so that we can be protected from things like that. But you can be damn sure that they exercise that all the time. But I mean, oh man, knife sergeant, that sucks, man. Fuck, man, they found pneumonia in your lungs. That sucks, man. I watched my dad go through that a bunch of times because when he was paralyzed, he was very susceptible to everything. Yeah, that's no good, man. Hopefully you're feeling better soon. Get that dealt with. I know there's not much you can do probably, but man, vitamin C, drink lots of water, lots of vitamin D's, vitamin B's. Keep all that stuff in your system. Get your immune system up. Vitamin was it D3s? Yeah, vitamin D3. Eat lots of that with vitamin C. Make it sure you take it with zinc because vitamin D3 doesn't break down in your system as well unless if you have a good amount of zinc in your system or something like that. So you usually want to take it with zinc so that your body absorbs it. That's how it goes. So it's just a thought. I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything, but that's what I was told. That ain't gonna happen. Yeah, exactly. Um, what's up, Spanky? But yeah, good luck, Knife Sergeant, man. I hope you feel better, man. Our prayers go out to you. Pneumonia is one of the most dangerous things for underlying conditions in old age. It's a huge cause of death for many. I hope you get well. Yeah, same thing like with the flu. Like I think we underplay like the flu, right? Because like when you're a kid growing up, or not even a kid, just a person growing up, you hear of the flu so much and you've had the flu a few times, so you don't think about the people that don't have immune systems or have very low immune systems or things like that, whether it's old age, obesity, whatever, how it affects them, because it takes out a lot of people a year and we don't hear about how deadly it really is. Like the flu is, and same thing with pneumonia. Pneumonia is the same way. That's why I'm saying, man, like try to get your immune system up. Get some water in you. Get like I said, vitamin D's, vitamin C's, some zinc, and hopefully you can get rid of that shit pretty quick. Because even being just fine, the toll it takes on you, right? It's like I know people that had it and they got past it like within like a week or so, but what it did to them for the next 2-3 weeks. Like even me, I have scarring in my lungs from bronchitis. Quick story. I had bronchitis one time really bad, a couple times, but this one particular time, I didn't know what it was. And you know, I was doing bad shit, so I didn't want to go to the hospital. And I was like terrified to go to the hospital, so I didn't go. And I honestly, I thought it was a blood clot. I really did. And you would think that that would say go to the hospital, right? But my mind was so poisoned with not wanting to go to the hospital that I was willing to deal with it, and I was hoping it was going to pass. And it didn't pass, and it kept getting worse and worse, and then it got to the point where I couldn't stand up. I'm literally saying I could not stand up. Then I got to the point where I couldn't lift my arm. I thought I was having a heart attack or something, because you know how your left arm gets fucked up when you're having a heart attack. It was so bad. I was stuck hunched over. I couldn't cough. I couldn't sneeze. Like, and what happened was my left lung had shut down. So that's why I couldn't even lift my arm. And then I wound up going to the emergency room eventually. And since I didn't go and get it dealt with, if I would have went right away, I'd have been fine. But since I waited so long and waited it out because I wasn't willing to go to the hospital, I wound up getting scarring in my lungs from it and all kinds of shit. Fucked me up really bad. Almost killed me. Almost killed me. So much so that after I healed it, within a few weeks, it came right back. So I played with that for like, I don't know, maybe a year or something, where it was like coming back and forth, back and forth. Nothing compared to that first one, though. But because of that first experience and me not willing to go to the hospital, messed me up. Kara's always having a blast in the background. Fuck yeah, man. She's having a party back there. What time is it? 9:30. All right, guys, we're going to head out. I love you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. And thank you guys for all the likes, the donations, chilling with me. And we're almost at 10K, guys. Where are we at? 9.37. We're almost there. We're about to be at 10K here real soon. Probably this time next month. Let's just plan it right now. This time next month, we got to be at 10K. We got to be. So anybody who's not subbed, if you guys are in here, please sub to the channel. We're really trying to get to we're trying to get to 20K, but we're gonna pass up 10K first. Then we'll start talking about 15. I love you guys. Thank you guys for everything, man. You guys are amazing. Best community ever. Peace. Road to 10K. Yeah, we'll see, Tony. We'll see. Are you subbed? I'm sure I'll do something.